JMJC Radio,
news,
sports,
wrestling,
and much more. I just want to let everybody know that this was recorded as a YouTube video, so if it does sound weird, that is why. Please enjoy.
Hey everyone, Jeremy Shapurt here. All I ask is that you watch this whole video before you comment or pass any judgment. I also want to make 3 quick statements before I start. The first one, I will not be naming any names in any of the stuff I talk about today. The second one, if you're wondering why I'm looking this way, I have everything written down in the script so I don't forget what to say. And the third one is, there is a possibility that I will cry in this video, so if I do, forgive me for this being longer than it should be. Let's begin. I need to tell you guys the truth. The truth is, I'm a liar. When my friends, family, or doctors ask me if I'm okay, I say I'm fine. The truth is, I'm not okay, and I haven't been for a while. For those of you who don't know, a girl I went to high school with died recently, and when I went to her celebration of life, it brought back a lot of old memories of my mom because her celebration of life was in the exact same place and the exact same room. And the old memories of my mom brought back old memories of elementary school when I was bullied, and it also brought back old memories of all the other people in my life that I have lost. For those of you who don't know, I have been living with my grandparents since the age of 2 because my mom was in the hospital. At first, they told my grandma it was ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. Then several years later, they said they made a mistake and she didn't have ALS, but a major stroke. She died back in October 2011 when I was 10 years old. My aunt, who lived in the same building as me, died 3 months later in January 2012, a day after my birthday. Now, we get on to my grandpa. The day was May 2nd, 2016, my grandma's birthday. I went straight to the hospital after school to see him. He was alive and breathing when I got there. It sounded like he was breathing in water, but I never called the nurse. I had to go to the lobby to meet my grandma, and when we got back to his room, he wouldn't wake up. We called the nurse, and when she came in to check on him, he was gone. I have had multiple people tell me it's not my fault, but to this day, I still blame myself for him dying on my grandma's birthday. Moving on to being bullied in elementary school. When I was in elementary school, I used to get bullied constantly because of my weight. Kids used to punch, and I say punch because they wouldn't actually punch, but they would pretend to. But kids would punch me in the stomach, pull their hands into their sleeve, then say, "Look everyone, Jeremy's stomach ate my hand." On top of that, the principal at the time would suspend me at least once a month because of something stupid, such as bringing a gun to school when it was a Transformer's arm. She suspended me one time because I was using the snap cubes that we used during math to build a robot. But she said I built a gun. Moving on to high school. I went to a different school for 2 years before starting at Lockerbie, and I had lots of problems there, including bullying. That's all I'm going to say about that. And moving on to recently, when I found out a girl I went to high school with died. It brought back some memories of high school at Lockerbie, including one situation that happened a couple of years ago after I graduated, which I'm not getting into. It also brought back the memory of prom. There was 3 different girls I wanted to ask. I'll call them by their initials, J, V, and T. Some of these memories may be different, but this is how I remember them. Let's start with J. If I'm not mistaken, J was a grade ahead of me and had already graduated. I asked people if they knew how to get a hold of her, but apparently she had a boyfriend, so I let that one go. Next was V. I had gone to school with V since elementary school, except the 2 years I went to Llewellyn. For those of you who knew me in high school or followed me on Instagram back then, may remember my plan. I had a sign taped to my walker and a box of donuts on the seat of my walker. I had everything set up at lunchtime in the lobby with a crowd of people hanging around, because I did announce that I'd be doing it on Instagram and people wanted to watch it live. I quietly asked someone I trusted to go find V and bring her to where I was sitting in the lobby, but they couldn't find her. Finally was T. T was in the same grade as me. I had a crush on her since we went on the trip to Stratford, but never told her how I felt because she was so smart and pretty. And then there was me, the tall, obese guy that had to use a walker that no girl could ever possibly like. So after nobody could find V, I told myself I was finally going to tell T how I felt and ask her to prom, but never did. At prom, T did come up and talk to me, and I said to myself, when the next slow song comes on, I'm going to ask her to dance and tell her how I feel. The next slow song came on, and I couldn't find her. I asked around if anybody had seen her, and apparently she had already went home. And the thing is, I have ran into T multiple times since then, but she has always been with friends, and I didn't have the guts to tell her. And with all these memories coming back to me, I haven't slept much since Wednesday. And this morning, for those of you wondering, today is Sunday the 22nd of September. This morning, I had a thought that scared me. I thought, what if I just left everything and everyone behind and ran away to some place where nobody knew who I was and started a new life? But then I asked myself, if I ran away, who would take care of my grandma? Who would jokingly make fun of my best friend Jay Grace for being short? Who would check in on my two other best friends, Ryder Johnston and Derek DeLuisa? Who would go to wrestling and cheer for the hometown wrestlers as much as I do? Who would keep my YouTube channel and podcast alive? Who would be the best uncle to my new niece? And most importantly, who would live my life? And I realized 4 important things. 1, only I could do all those things. 2, only I could live my life. Number 3, I have too many people counting on me. Number 4, I am right where I need to be. At this point, you may be wondering why I'm talking about all these things. I'm talking about them for 2 reasons. The first reason is to show everyone, especially the guys that think they need to be tough, that it is okay to cry, and it is okay to talk about your feelings. The second reason is to let everyone know, if you barely know me or if you're one of my close friends, I'm always here to talk. Now, there is one more thing I want to leave you guys with. For those of you who subscribe to my YouTube channel or listen to my podcast, you know I have 2 quotes that I always say. I want to tell everyone those 2 quotes and why I always say them. The first one, always shoot your shot before it's too late. That one is there to remind you to take chances, because you never know what might happen. If I would have shot my shot with T, you never know what may have happened. The second quote is, always tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know how much time you have left with them. That one is there because I never got to say goodbye or I love you one last time to my grandfather before he died. I want to thank you all for listening, and now that you know my 2 quotes, on the count of 3, I want you all to say them with me to end this video. 1, 2, 3. Always shoot your shot before it's too late, and always tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know how much time you have left with them. Again, I want to thank you all for listening, and know that I'm always here to talk. I will see you guys in the next video.